Audio rolling. Where the heck have I been the last 3 years? A king at the end of a rope. And November at a glance. Today on the Rennie Report. So as you all may recall, the Rennie Report began its foot back during the pandemic. After being shuffled away from the Arizona Renaissance Festival, I made my way to where I was going to go ahead and quarantine or to kind of stay away from the coronavirus. And this was in, this would have been about March. And starting around April, after I began doing research for the documentaries that I will start doing, the documentaries that kind of focused on how the Renaissance community is dealing with the pandemic, came up the idea of starting a Rennie News Report, and this report began as one for the participants, kind of give them an update on what's going on with the fairs, how to best financially help recover from what's happening, and the like. And it started with a few episodes. And that was over 3 years ago. That's back in 2020. And so, the idea has been reborn after a poll, still sticking with the name, the Rennie Report, to not only be news for participants, but also for patrons of Renaissance fairs. There's a plan to include any special news about particular fairs, any news reports, I said that again. Any weather, any information, like what fairs are happening right now, which fairs are coming up. In additional, plan on having different other segments, which is going to be including some local reviews by such friends as Craig Black and Amber Monk. They will be doing a local review of different restaurants and foods and entertainment places around the areas that they are at the time. Currently, right now, they are at the Texas Renaissance Fair, and so they're going to be doing some reviews in that area. But we're also going to be doing interviews of participants and their experience at the fair that our interviewers are interviewing them at, as well as featuring interviews with participants, so we can kind of get an idea of their origins, what brought them into the festivals, and what keeps them going, especially after the pandemic. We also plan on including other segments, and if there's any segments that you wish to have included, be sure to send us an email at rennieport@gmail.com, and we will see about getting something like that happening. And if you too, whether or not you are a participant or a patron, want to participate, feel free to also contact us. We're always welcome to more ideas and more inspiration for upcoming segments. This is the first show, so this is more of a kind of an introductory show to kind of give you guys an idea of what's happening, plans going forward, especially we are getting towards the end of the fair season. For most people, this is their last festival. However, during the off season, we like to feature things that kind of help you keep going through the off season, help you get prepared for the coming season, information as to what are going to be the next festivals that will be opening up, etc. So, hope to look forward to seeing you guys watch us. Those of you who want to participate or anything on the future editions of the Rennie Report. For our This Weekend in Review, which is sponsored by TheRadiolist.com, We're going to be going over the festivals that will be open this weekend and what remains of October's view on festivals happening. Right now, we do have the Carolina Renaissance Festival out of Huntsville, North Carolina. They'll be going until the November 19th. They had started September 30th. Ohio Renaissance Fair out of Waynesville, Ohio, started September 2nd and are going until October 29th. So this weekend is actually its final weekend. The Alabama Renaissance Fair out of Florence, Alabama. This actual weekend it will be its open and close. It's a one weekend show. The Ravenwood Fair out of Clearbrook, Virginia goes from October 20th to October 29th, so this is going to be its final weekend, Halloween weekend. Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair out of Mannheim, Pennsylvania goes from August 19th until October 29th, so this is also its final weekend. The Texas Renaissance Fair is going to be out of Todd Mission, Texas, is actually beginning its fourth weekend. And it goes from October 7th until November 26th. So they're going to have another 26 days. The All Hallows Fantasy Fair, as you imagine, out of Angels Camp, California, will be only open for this weekend. So it's going to be a 2-weekend show. Or 2-day show this weekend. The Delaware Renaissance Fair out of Townsend, Delaware, actually has its opening this weekend. It goes from October 28th until November 12th. Now the Boynton Beach Haunted Pirate Fest and Mermaid Splash out of Boynton Beach, Florida, it's a 1-weekend show for just this weekend. Then we have the Fall Escondido Renaissance Fair out of Escondido, California, opening up this weekend and going until November 5th. So it looks like it's just a 2-weekend show. Then we have the Hot Springs Renaissance Fair out of Arkansas, 1-weekend show just this weekend. Then finally, we have the Southeast Texas Renaissance Fair out of Call, Texas. It looks like to be maybe a 4-weekend show. It opened up October 14th and is going until November 12th. So this is probably going into its third or second weekend. Third or second weekend. Maybe it's a 5-weekend show. Now, going into November as our November follow-up, the Carolina Renaissance Festival out of Huntsville, North Carolina, will be continuing its festival. The High-Nuff-Full Festival out of McDade, Texas, begins and goes from November 8th through the 12th. The Celtic Music Festival and Scottish Highland Games on the Mississippi Gulf Coast out of Gulfport, Minnesota, goes November 11th through the 12th. Great Dickens Christmas Fair out of Daly City, California, is November 18th through December 17th. Yuletide Village Season of Lights out of Waynesville, Ohio, the same area as the Ohio Renaissance Fair, is November 24th through December 16th. Lady of the Lakes Renaissance Fair out of Tavares, Florida, goes from November 3rd through the 12th. The Louisiana Renaissance Fair actually opens up next weekend, November 4th, and goes until December 10th out of Hammond, Louisiana. Viking Cons out of La Plata, Maryland, begins and goes for 1 weekend for November 4th through the 5th. Texas Renaissance Fair continues on from its 5th through its final weekend, ending on November 26th. Jubilee Renaissance Fair out of Robertsdale, Alabama, is a 1-weekend show starting November 18th through the 19th. The Field of Cloth of Gold a Midsummer Renaissance Fair actually is canceled for the 2023 season, and this one's out of Robertsdale, Alabama. Normally it would go from November 3rd through the 5th, so it would have been a one-weekend show next weekend, 3-day weekend. We have the Delaware Renaissance Fair out of Townsend, Delaware. Actually opens up this weekend and goes until November 12th. Then we have the Fenrir Viking Festival out of Eminence, Kentucky. Is a one-weekend show, 3-day shows, going from November 3rd through the 5th. The Mythical and Medieval Fest out of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, goes from November 11th through the 19th. The OKC, Oklahoma City Renaissance and Scottish Festival, goes from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, one weekend show from November 4th through the 5th. The Tucson Celtic Festival, we finally can open up a festival in Arizona, since the Arizona Fair was so hot. Obviously out of Tucson, Arizona, is a one weekend 3-day show from November 3rd through the 5th. We have the Renaissance Arts Fair out of Las Cruces, New Mexico. Again, probably the first time of the year being able to open up a fair out of hell. There's a one weekend show from November 4th through the 5th. And obviously, Escondido Renaissance Fair, which opens up this weekend, continues on until November 5th for its second weekend. The Sarasota Medieval Fair at Mayaca City, Florida, opens up November 4th and goes until the 26th. Appalachian Renaissance Fair of Texas, out of Greensville, Tennessee, is a one weekend show and goes from November 4th until the 5th. Then we got the Sun Coast Renaissance Festival out of Sarasota, Florida. That will be going from November 18th until December 10th. And then, as before, we got the Southeast Texas Renaissance Fair out of Call, Texas. Continues its festival, its weekend. Probably going to be its third weekend until its final weekend on November 12th. Then we have Hanukkah, because it's Hawaii, right? Yeah, Hanukkah Renaissance Fair out of Honoka'a, Hawaii. Will be November 11th, just one day, apparently. And then we have the Kearney Renaissance Fair out of Fresno, California. One weekend show from November 11th through the 12th. Then we have Maryland Irish Festival out of Lutherville, Timonium, Maryland. One weekend show, looks like 3 days from November 10th through the 12th. And then finally for November, we got the Camelot Days Medieval Festival out of Hollywood, Florida, November 4th through the 19th. So it kind of gives you an idea of other festivals happening in the upcoming November. And recording. Now, I do want to feature a news article here by Tom Dunn. It was actually published Wednesday, October 25th, out of the website Boing Point. And it's titled, Renaissance Fair Workers Are Organizing to Overthrow Their Exploitive King. Now, because many of us work Renaissance fairs, we're not here to kind of put festivals, put festivals on a hot seat, because, it helps to kind of get things kind of corrected, negotiated. But I do want to go ahead and feature this one here, so so that way people can have an understanding of what's happening elsewhere, and maybe it could help. Now, apparently, and a lot of this here is stuff I'm going to be reading from his actual article. And again, none of this information I've verified, so remember, this is from his words, and It may not be fully validated. So take that at a grain of salt with this information here. And if you ever have any questions regarding it, obviously, as always, do your research as well, which apparently I didn't, but just to make sure. But apparently, King Richard's Fair is the largest Renaissance fair in New England. It was originally founded in 1972 by concert producer Dick Shapiro, whose family still runs the operation to these days. According to a recent viral Reddit post, the success of the fair, which reportedly nets over $400,000 per day, wonder how that compares to the Texas Renaissance Fair, is largely due to, you guessed it, sketchy labor exploitations. I wondered how this really relates to like how other fairs do it, but now he quotes here as part of the article. It looks like part of the post here. I really wish people would care more about the King's Fair Incorporated paying everyone in entertainment and operations as contractors when they're clearly qualified as temp W-4 employees. That can also relate to a lot of us participants, where it's very similar. Now, since the show literally doesn't operate without them, which is true, it's a massive if that they get paid at all. Now, this sounds like festival staff, specifically entertainment and operations, like festival staff, not where is compared to like booth workers, gamers, rights people, and all these people. Sounds like it's specifically cast and festival staff. Now he continues to say, as it says, and it's a massive if that they get paid at all. All the villagers you see milling around are unpaid. All they get is free admission. That's it. Not even free food. And as the cherry on top, if there's a rain day, nobody gets paid, except the Shapiros, of course. They'll happily issue the rain check for admission on a different day. But just imagine how much raw profit that are still seeing from folks who never use that rain check. After all, no refunds. Absolute greed, he continues. They absolutely rake in their total cost of payroll on opening day alone, and still have the gall to stiff these performers and operations workers because they didn't work that day. For most folks in the operations or entertainment, they are not making any more than $70 a day or thereabouts. That's hard because back in the day, whether or not you have commission or not, even for like regular participants, you might be able to get like $100 a day, which is still pretty low. And nowadays, it's moved up, because of inflation and all that, to like $150 a day. But for $70 a day or thereabouts, if this is accurate, it's not good at all. Unless you're a local and this is your weekend job and you're really, bringing extra money, but still, it's still a lot of money. It's still not a lot of money. It's absolutely dismal if this is referring to also participants, like regular centered participants. But I don't think this is. I don't know. And so he continues here saying, I've only had eyes on a couple dozen contracts. Sounds like contracts, because those normal participants don't necessarily have contracts. But they're all around that mark. The first staff from entertainment and ops management show up at around 8 a.m. and leave around 7:30 p.m. That works out to less than $6 an hour. Now, he concludes here by saying, to fair, I cannot verify any of the claims made in the original post, nor the subsequent discussions. But as a former playwriting fellow at the major Massachusetts theater, who's married to a theater director, I do know quite a few actors. And I've never met one of them who has anything good to say about old King Richard. Anecdotally, he says, I did the work the day for an audition session for the fair some 16 years ago or so, and everyone I met who was working there in an official capacity was indeed a prick. Okay, that's a lot to say about them. But then he finally finished this year by saying, but even those personal bias aside, it's always beautiful to see the peasants rise up to overthrow the bastard king. So it's interesting. And again, I've never done the Richard Renaissance Fair, or Richard's King Richard's Fair. I had an opportunity. I used to be a squire for the Henley Action Theater, which does a lot of the fairs, and this is, I think, is still one of their festivals. I'm seeing some of the actual videos, but I've never had, and our finances are obviously between each other, between the independent contract and independent company. Same thing with the vendors. Their pay to their employees are completely independent from the festival, so everything is done independent. So it sounds like this is something that might be going on with the actual fair, between fair management and their staff and cast. And so if anyone has any information to verify this, to kind of do a follow-up, or would like to add to it, even anonymously, feel free to send an email out to the Rennie Report at gmail.com, and we can kind of take a look at it. Now, in other news, or some more information to report, is I was able to get my hands on a article here by Ashley Mahoney, which was actually originally posted October 26, 2023, which was this year, where she did 5 takes on a recent visit to the Carolina Renaissance Festival, which is still going on right now, that I wanted to kind of share with you. Hear ye, 'tis Renaissance Festival season. What's happening? Thousands flock to the 16th century village of Fairhaven in the kingdom of Huntersville every autumn to watch knights joust, feast on turkey legs, and test their archery skills, among other things. The Carolina Renaissance Fair is every Saturday and Sunday through November 19th, from 9:30 a.m. until 5:30 p.m. At 16445 Poplar Tent Road. And obviously with Google, you can obviously find your way there. Parking for the festival is free. And then here's their 5 things to know before you head to the Carolina Renaissance Festival. First of all, buy tickets in advance. Tickets sell out quickly. You can buy them online. Tickets cost $32 for adults, ages 13 and older, and $20 for children, ages 5 through 12. Ages 4 and under receive free admission. Your ticket is only good on the date you purchase it. So make sure to purchase those tickets for the specific days that you want to actually go. Now, they continue with saying, my thought bubble. A group showed up to the festival without tickets last weekend, around mid-morning, only to find out that they were already sold out. So yes, the festival does sell out with their tickets. That is why you need that's why you need to buy them in advance. You don't want to show up and try to buy them. I don't think you actually can. And they say, thankfully, our friend group was wise enough to buy them ahead of time. Now, bring cash. Most of the 140 vendors only accept cash. I don't know if that's the case. Majority of them do accept credit card and cash. This is where we're talking about the regular vendors. Food, drinks, rides, and games, otherwise, in most cases, only accept cash. There are some fairs, like the Texas Renaissance Fair, that some of the food booths are starting to accept cards. But make sure you have cash for those major things. Obviously, it's always good. Cash is king. So if you get your cash specifically for uh, your vendor purchases, it's better. And you get your cash not at the festival because the ATM fees are extremely high. It's also a good way to make sure that you budget yourself. That way you only use what you have as cash so you don't completely overspend yourself. But they continue to say there is an ATM on site, or ATMs on site, but spare yourself the wait in line and bring the king's currency with you ahead of time. That's what you're saying. Cheer on your knights. Your time in Fairhaven isn't complete without witnessing a joust, and everyone knows it. That's why seats in the stadium fill up so quickly. There are multiple jousts throughout the day, but it's best to claim a seat at least 30 minutes early. Yes, but there are plenty of stages with live entertainment and peasant-powered rides to drive to. Now, bring your appetite. One of the best parts of the festival is feasting on a turkey leg. About $14. But there are plenty of other options too. The pub is also packed with ale and mead as well as coffees, teas for colder days. Oh man, I used to work the Carolina Renaissance Fair. And so the delicious smelling ale or beer that they would have there, as well as the meads, and the fact that you can actually heat up the meads, especially with the colder days that happen there. As well as for those hotter days, you got like the frozen margaritas, which I also worked. Obviously, the coffees, and there's great tea houses. So no matter what the weather is, there's always a great drink to be able to drink there. Obviously, I can never drink them because obviously I work there. But still, outside food and beverages are not permitted, with the exception of one sealed water bottle per person. There are fountains to fill your water bottle too. Stay hydrated and wear sunscreen, because it does get very humid there. Now, bonus, there is also a pub crawl every day of the festival. Now, dress up. Embrace the experience. That means dressing up as a knight, a king, a queen, lord, lady, pirate, a peasant, a orc, maybe even a fairy. Have fun with your costume, but leave real weapons at home. This is just for play. You won't be called upon to defend the castle, even though you probably want to. You probably want to kind of do something. It'll be fun, right? You can also rent one outside the festival entrance or buy one inside. There's a lot of great costumes. Whether or not you want to be Scottish or great fairy wings or get that very luxurious feather in your hair, in your hat, or even in your hair. You got flower garlands, some really great things that not only can you wear there, but who's to say that you can't wear it anywhere, right? Only you are making that choice, not to wear it anywhere. Hey, wear your kilt anywhere you go. There's no one stopping you. just be ready for people to stare at you, but who cares, right? Now, she continues to say, my thought bubble. I recently went to the festival for the first time in years, and I wish I had thought to bring a costume. I would definitely be going back next year in the fall in full costume. Now, I mean, costumes can be expensive, but there's great quality. You have to remember, and this is for any product that's out there. The majority of it is handmade, handcrafted, hand painted, by the hands of the people who work there. There's only a handful of things that might be import stuff, but for the most part, it's how they make their living, how they are able to eat do laundry. It's how they can repair their vehicles. I don't know why I still have my headphones on. It's how they survive, and that is very important. You can buy things on Amazon, and depending on your budget, certain pieces you might have to buy it on Amazon. But support your local merchants, support the food booths, support your games and your rides. There's some great games there, great rides you get to experience. Support your entertainers. Throw out a tip. This is how they make their living. While you might have a majority of them, or some of them, that live locally and go home during the week, a lot of us live there. This is our life. And when this festival is not happening, and if it's not like the end of the year, we have other festivals we go to, and we travel, we camp. We have to sustain ourselves. So everything you do to contribute helps us continue to do it, and it helps the festivals to keep going. Now, of note, your journey to Fairhaven may not be completely historically accurate. Hopefully, you can overlook the anachronisms and have a laugh or two. Perhaps some at your own expense. And again, a lot of these principles can be used at many different festivals. Bring your cash. Be ready for cash or with a card, depending on where you're going to get stuff. Dress up. Come hydrated. Check your weather before you go. But also remember, unless it's a torrential downfall, most festivals are still open when it's raining. And that's sometimes the best time to go to a fair. Because it's like you're like the first time you're like the first person in a ride. You're the only person at that game. You have a nice, even with entertainers. Like, I've recently spoken with the Clan Tinker. They're like, no matter how many people are at our stage, they will treat it the same. They would give it the same energy, the liveliness. Because that's who they are. That's why they are there. They're not going to be low in energy or not give it their full. And just like with Clan Tinker, many all other entertainers are the same way. So if you can get to a fair where you have weather and there's not going to be a lot of people, that's sometimes the best time, right? So that in itself specifically is the Carolina in review. Do want to go ahead and thank you guys here for our first renewed edition of the Rennie Report. If you have any other news, upcoming events, upcoming things are happening at a festival, if you would like to contribute segments to the show, if you would like to help with interviewing at festivals, even if you as a patron, you're visiting your Renaissance Fair, if you want to help out, help interview people, send us an email to Rennie List, or not Rennie List. We're kind of supported by RennieList.com, but email Rennie Report at gmail.com, and we'd be happy to look into it. This is Errol Coder with the Rennie Report, and until next Friday, signing off.